Welcome back to the Human First podcast with me, Adrian Murphy. Today I am really excited to have Lorna McNee, the chef director, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
At Cail Bruich. You may not know this, but I've been wanting to get you on since we started doing the podcast. So I'm trying not to do too much kind of fan stuff here, and let's try and make it really interesting. But thank you for agreeing to come on.
No problem at all. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Mm-hmm. Great. So it's probably worth you introducing yourself properly and giving us a wee bit of your background before we get into it.
Okay, so name's Lorna McNee, chef director at Cail Bruich, as you said. So start off when I'm much younger. So grew up in a very small village called Dallas up in Murrayshire. Really, really small. Kind of my primary school was, when I was there, capacity was 32 pupils, and that was the biggest it's ever been. So it usually sits about 20 people. So really small. Great village, great community. And then when I was about 14, 15, we moved to Forest, so the kind of closest town to us. We were getting to be teenagers and always kind of asking my mum, what lifts through to the town to go out, drinking with your friends or whatever it was that you done when you were a teenager.
Yep.
So
do it responsibly. Obviously.
Yes, exactly. Don't do that. It's not cool. So going out to see friends and going out for up the park and stuff like that. So we moved to Forest when I was about 15, and then I would say when I was about 16, 17 maybe, probably near 16, I wanted a job for extra pocket money. Mobiles just came around and you had to buy top-ups for your phone, so I wanted that extra £10 to put a top-up into my phone. So I went to get a job in a small restaurant called Little Sicily. I was a KP, so a kitchen porter, pot wash, so I was there and I would wash dishes, maybe say 3-4 nights a week, something like that. A busy restaurant, like one head chef. His name was Nino Abate. Really good. Used to watch him cooking. He would cook for 100 covers all by himself. There'd be 3 people doing the cold starters, genuinely just salads and bruschettas and stuff like that. And then he'd be cooking everything. So it's kind of you'd watch him and be like, wow, this guy's great, but not really understanding why he was great, but just thinking, how can he cook for all these people? Yeah. So at school, not very academic, must say. My sisters and my mum and all very intelligent. Not me. I wouldn't say not intelligent, but just not academically. Reading, writing, all that sort of stuff is just not my forte. Was better with my hands. So was interested in photography at school. We had a black room at school, and we got to, this is at high school, the academy. We used to get to take our own pictures and then develop them in that. And it was really interesting. I really loved it. Yeah. So decided that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a photographer. So I sent off at the end of the school year. All my friends were going to university. I obviously wasn't. I was like, right, okay, I'm going to go to photography school. So I sent off an application to Aberdeen, to the college. Didn't get in. So I was like, okay, fine. What do I do with myself now? Because I didn't really have any goals, ambitions, anything like that. Okay. I was just doing my thing. To be honest, wanted to make pocket money. That was my main thing. Wanted to make some money. So kept on working at the restaurant I was working at, and the head chef said, you should cook. I can see you enjoy looking at the food and that. And I was just like, no, not really. Not my thing. And then he would make me pick mussels and parsley and stuff like that. And he's like, you should cook. And I was like, I don't really want to, but what else am I going to do? I have no other options. So decided, okay, I'm going to go to catering school. So I went to Murray College, which is in Elgin. Had passed my driving test, and you could travel backwards and forwards to college every day. Decided that's what I was going to do. 2 weeks before I started college, I got in from Aberdeen photography school. You've now been accepted. The places came up.
You're kidding.
No, but by that point, I'm someone that when I make my mind up, and that's it. Okay. I don't go back on a thing. So I've got into college. Again, actually, this sounds like I'm greedy for money, but I had I could see my bursary from college. Like, this is the one for me. I'm getting an extra £300 a month here to go to college. I'm doing this one. So went to college, and it was really great. I actually loved it. So going from a KP this restaurant, went to a commis chef. So first position chef, was just again doing the kind of cold starters and whatnot, and was at college and was finally being encouraged by people that I was good at something, which I'd never had at school. I'd had it at primary school. It was great at primary school, but then when I got to the academy, it was just, you're disruptive, Right. And it was my social life. That's what I wanted from school. It was my social life, and that's what I cared about. So finally, as I said, at college, doing really well. People tell me you've got good knife skills, your seasoning's great. And I was like, people are telling me I'm good at something. So it meant that I put in more effort into doing better at it because people were telling me I was good at it. And I wanted to showcase that. Whilst I was there, I was coming to the end of my time at college. And it was like, okay, what's the next move? So they said to go on some work experience things, which is called stages in the kind of industry of hospitality. And I went down to Gordon Ramsay's in Claridge's, and it was a 1-star at the time. I'd done 2 weeks there. Really loved it. It was great. But wasn't London, the hustle and bustle wasn't for me. I came from a really small place.
It's quite a change.
Yeah, big, busy city. I was like, this is not for me. Anyway, finished my time there, was offered a job and said that I would think about it. Went back to college. My lecturer at the time, Sarah, she said to me, you should go to Andrew Fairley's. It's got 2 Michelin stars. It's in Scotland. Why don't you try that? So I did that. Went there for 3 days. Absolutely loved it. All the team were great. Chef Andrew himself was amazing. And I was like, okay. And one of the boys said to me, you should ask Chef Andrew for a job if you want one. And I was like, really? Like, yeah, ask him. So he was standing eating his dinner, and I tapped him on the shoulder, like, can I get a job? And I see all the guys like, oh, no, not when he's eating his dinner. What are you doing? But I was like, I knew no better. So anyway, he was like, are you sure that you want to do this? It's, I've had a lot bigger, stronger people with more experience than you come into this and not manage. I want to do it. And he said to me, look, go away, think about it for a week, and then come back down, let's have a proper conversation. So I was like, okay. So a week later, went back down, all the kind of white shirt, black trousers, smart as I could, sat down, told him, no, I want to do this.
What age were you at this point, sorry?
I was 21.
21
at this point. And he said to me, okay, fine, let's give it a go. But we're taking you as an apprentice, not even a comma, you're an apprentice. You're the lowest of the low. You're going to come in and you're gonna learn this. And I actually think that he slightly was like, she's not going to manage. She's just came out of college, got no real experience at this level, really high level. She's not going to manage. But I went in, and I wouldn't say I managed, but I did try my best, and I did do it. And what was great about that kitchen is it was very encouraging, and people around you supporting me, wanting me to do well. Like within the first 6 months, struggling, making loads of mistakes. But I remember asking my head chef Steve at the time, saying, can I get an appraisal? And he's like, well, we don't really do appraisals. What is it that you want to know? Yeah. And I was like, well, I just want to know how I'm doing. Am I going in the right way? Yeah. He said to me, he's like, well, do you think you are? Have you learned a lot? Like, what have you done? And started thinking, what have I actually learned? What do I know now that I didn't know 6 months ago? And it was like, all of a sudden, like, oh my God, yes. Like, how well am I doing? How much have I learned in that short space of time? So that encouraged me more. And there was probably, I say, about 3 occasions throughout my first couple of years there where I was like, this is too hard, I'm leaving. I'm not doing this, it's too hard. And we'd speak to her mum, would go home, like travel back up north, sit and cry. Mum would be like, speak to Chef Andrew. Speak to Chef Andrew, and he was a super encouraging person, great human being, and would show me the kind of realities of it and why it was so hard and what I was pushing towards, which made me want to stay and encouraged me. And then 4 years down the line, I was a junior sous chef there. So I had really progressed throughout my time. I'd done all the sections in the kitchen. And at this point, Chef Andrew starts putting me towards competitions. So managed to do a few. So done Game Chef of the Year, won that. Then he's like, okay, Scottish Chef of the Year next. Okay, done that, won Best Dish, won Best Dessert. And then went on to do... he came to me with a email one time saying, you've been asked to go on Great British Menu. Would you want to do it? And it's one of those ones that you're like... oh my God, wow. I can't, why have I been asked? Like, you see all these like peers of yours been doing this show, and finally I was being asked to do it, I was like, yes, I want to do it. Amazing. So that was really difficult, but again, like a highlight of being asked to do that. So done that, won the Scottish regionals, but didn't quite get to the final, and then done it again the second year after that, and then got to the final, won champions, and then from there, my career kind of propelled.
So actually just on that, so that was 2019, am I right?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
So that was actually a big springboard for you, having that, I guess, exposure and the success of that. Yeah,
so I think that it gets your face out there, but people start to see you and they start to look at your food and go, she seems quite good, there's something about her that I like or whatever. And that's when Paul and Chris from Cail Bruich had first approached me to ask if I would want to go and be head chef at Cail Bruich. So I went into the restaurant, I'd done a day's work. I didn't tell my head chef Stevie I was going, which he was annoyed about because I told him afterwards, because I was like, I feel like I need to be honest about this. Yeah. But I feel like if I'd done it prior, I would have been convinced not to do it. And I was like, for my own self-development and growth, I need to go and try this. So I went and done the interview, and then I was like, do you know what? Declined it. I was like, not for me. I was like, I don't feel like this is the right place. I don't feel like I'm ready. And then I would say maybe 6 months to a year down the line after that, I'd been approached again. And by this point, Chef Andrew had passed away, and he was always the one that was kind of like pushing me forward and always giving me new challenges. And I just felt like a bit stagnant. I was a bit non-development at this point. And Chris and Paul came back to me again. It was actually Chris and the general manager at the time, Chris Donaghy, who had came to approach me, came to my house, had a chat about it, and I was like, right, okay. Thought about it. We went to the Ivy, we had something to eat, and I had put down what I want. Here are my goals, and here are my almost demands in the nicest possible ways. Like, okay, I want to be a head chef, Chris. I don't want you there. I don't want you involved. And I think beforehand I felt like he'd be my head chef and I'd be like helping him run it. I was like, if I'm doing it, I'm doing it. It's my menu. It's my team. This is what the goals are, and this is what I want to do. And luckily enough, he accepted that, and he's like, okay, yep, that's fine. You know, no problem. Let's go with that. So handed my notice in at my work, was ready to go and start there in June of 2020. And then February came and COVID hit. Everything stopped, and I was like, I think...
So you'd gone there, so how long were you there?
So I hadn't been there before COVID. So basically, I was meant to start in June 2020, and COVID kind of hit.
Sorry, right, yes. So you weren't even there.
No, I wasn't there. The notice period was in. I was giving like a 6 month period to my work to say 6 months, I'm going to go. Okay. So giving them like a long time to know that this is what's going to happen. And I went. So we left in February, I believe it was, that kind of restaurants all closed down. And I was really emotional because I was like, I've been at this job for 12 and a half, 13 years, and this is it. Done. Yeah. And it's done by being closed down. And I had this feeling, I was like, I don't think I'm going to be back here again. And I was really upset, and had Stevie saying to me, you can come back, you don't have to go to your new job. But I was like, no, I know that this is the right progression, is what I need to do. So it was quite a sad way to end my time there.
Yeah, so you didn't actually get to play it out the last 6 months.
No, and usually we get like your leaving party and the goodbye, and I just didn't get that. It just kind of like sucked, you know? Yeah. But what was actually good is that kind of 4 months of before I went there, I had, for the first time in my life, my head was empty. I didn't have to think about anything. I didn't have to think about work. 'Cause even on your holidays, I felt like I was always thinking about work. Days off, always thinking about work. Like, it's always in the back of my head. But for the first time ever, I had nothing. It was just myself, my wife, my fiance at the time, and we're just like, let's just spend some time cooking at home, enjoying it, made some cooking videos and stuff like that, and like just done all the stuff that everyone was doing. Yeah. And then the last month before opening up at Cail Bruich, I decided that I was going to start writing menus and stuff like that. I started writing menus and started getting back into the swing of things, and then I feel like I'm just talking a lot here. But,
carry on.
And then basically had went back into Cail Bruich in the June, I believe it was, or it might have been July of 2020, and we were allowed to finally open up restaurants again. But I can't remember how this sequence worked, but first of all, you were allowed to open till 8 o'clock, and then no alcohol, and then closing at this time. Right. And then back into lockdown again.
Yeah, of course.
And then back into lockdown again, and we've done these at-home boxes at Cail Bruich, which kept business going, and was actually really fun at the beginning, and then really not so fun at the end, because you're putting things in boxes, and it's not really the same expression.
It's not the same, no.
So it was good, kept business afloat. We'd done that, and that kind of lasted a while, and then we'd done a Christmas box and New Year box and all the rest of it. So I think that we were open for service for about 3 months. We'd done about 3 months worth of service during that June to December type time, and we done well. People enjoying it. We're finally out since COVID, and everyone was just loving being out restaurants, being with each other, being allowed to be back in some form of normality. So it was great. And then again, so we closed down again, and then I think it was maybe January we reopened back up, and we were allowed to be open again. And then I had got this little email. Actually, I'll tell you what was actually happening. I was on my floor in my living room doing crunches at some gym video. during COVID when I got some this number coming up on my phone, and I was like, who's phoning me? Answered it. I was like, hi, it's David from Michelin. Have you got time to talk? And I was like, as I say, lying on my living room floor doing crunches, thinking, oh my God, what is this? Answered the phone, and he was like, oh, we're just looking for some people who have done some things during COVID, who would like to get some photographs and some filming done for it so that we can do an online stream during the Michelin Awards to show how people have struggled and what people have done. And I was like, yeah, of course, more than happy to do that. So we done some videos, some photographs of they sent like a little camera, and it was like quite a fancy little thing. Told you how to use it. You'd done some videos of yourself cooking, some pictures of your food. And then we had a Zoom call maybe a week before the Michelin Guide came out, and again this was a talk of COVID and what you'd done. So we'd done this whole talk thing, and then at the end they just lifted up this big kind of plastic star from the side and was like, we'd like you to know that you've won a Michelin star. So it was like,
wow.
Oh my God, like I can't believe that. So burst into tears automatically.
So you'd no idea.
No, I mean, this is a little inkling that is this something, is this not something, but you don't want to get your hopes up. You just want to, I went into it with very much, I'd always have loved to have won a star, but it was in my head, I'm going to start cooking my food, do what I want to do, create my style and enjoy it. So when we got the star, that's like almost acknowledgement of, okay, what I'm doing is right, what I'm doing is, you know, it's well received by people, and it was just a really great moment. And at that point, Paul and Chris were in the building because they knew what was going on. This was all very confidential. But you had they obviously heard they like cuddled each other and like clapping each other's back and all that. And the guy on the camera had said to me, "Are you alone?" And I was like, "Well, the business owners are here." And he was like, "Okay, well, keep this confidential," and all the rest of it, which obviously we all did. But I couldn't really. I think Paul and Chris, again, they own the business, and they were having a chat with Michelin, and they wanted to be there, I think, to make sure that what I was saying was, you know, okay, and they understood what was going on and all that. So it was, we opened a bottle of Salon after that, which is very expensive champagne. Genuinely, I don't know if it's just the best champagne I've ever tasted, or if it's just the euphoria of everything that's going with it. And I think that comes into that whole experiential thing of dining. Drinking the champagne, it was such a surreal feeling, and it was so... God, I can't, like, one of the happiest moments of my life, you know what I mean, of my career for sure. It's like, it was great, and I had to wait a week to tell my team, but it was like, I was so excited to tell them, because I was like, I know how hard they've been working, I want them to know that this has all not been for nothing, you know, look at what we've achieved. So we could finally tell them, we decided we're all going to watch the Michelin Awards live together on the stream to see who'd got the new stars that year. So they didn't know, and then they finally found out we won a star, and it was just great. Everybody was so excited and screaming and shouting, and just to be able to give that back to your team who've worked hard for you, and it's, you know, it's a high pressured environment, and they work hard and long hours for it, and it was incredible. And then since then, I'd like to hope that we've went from strength to strength. We've opened back up. We've refurbed the restaurant, because we won a star, first in Glasgow in 18 years, I believe, since Gordon Ramsay.
That's right.
Only female Scottish Michelin chef and all this rest of it. So like it was massive, and the restaurant was like fully booked for a year and a half. Like you couldn't get a table. So for us, it was great, and the revenue it brought in meant I could buy the stove that I wanted to buy and refurb the restaurant. And you know, it's so great about having such fantastic business owners is that the money came in, but it went straight back into let's develop and make things better so we can reach the next level that we want to reach. So that was really great to say to the guys, we're getting this Athenor stove, you know, it's super, it's like an £85,000 stove, like it's very expensive, but it's beautiful, and we'll cook so much nice food on it to this dingy kitchen we've been working in for the last year. And I mean, it was great for business, and it was great for the team, great for morale, great to support the business. And then went from strength to strength. You know, we won Best Scottish Restaurant last year at the AA Awards. We've won a wine award recently. I've managed to, I'm now a judge on the Great British Menu, which is phenomenal. So that's just came around.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I would say that's the story of my life, kind of, as it stands.
Gosh, I've got so many questions.
I'm surprised after what I've talked.
But it is, I think, is like your whole story. I mean, I'm going to try and go back to the beginning and work my way through, because I think there is you no doubt, of course, be aware of this, but restaurants and restaurant programs and programs about chefs, there's a certain fascination with that. Great British Menu being a kind of real version, and then you've got Bear and then Anthony Bourdain, who I loved, and his books and all that stuff, like New York in the 80s and stuff. Very, very different environment, I think, probably to what your kitchen is like these days. But, I think there's a kind of general fascination with that. I'd love to come back to that. But going back to what you said at the very beginning when you were kind of at school, you weren't that fussed, but you knew somehow you needed money. Yeah. Like pocket money. Yeah. You said that. What was your kind of earliest memory of that? Or when did you have that realisation?
Do you know, I think this is kind of where I stand for. I'm quite like I like to save money and I like to keep money and all that stuff. But I think it comes from my first memory I have of money was my mum and dad had separated quite a few times throughout my life, and when we were really young, my mum had been like struggling for money. She was working as much as she could, young children at school, and she was at the cash machine. She was taking cash out, and I was, I want to take the cash. I want to take the money out. All excited, took the money out. And I don't know how much she took out. Maybe let's say it was 40, 60 pounds or whatever it was. I hadn't taken 20 pounds out of the machine, so it was only like 40. So not much in her account. I'd taken that money, and whoever's behind her just took the money away.
Oh no!
So my mum, like desperately, like needing shopping or needing food or whatever, like obviously angry at me, but can't be angry at the same time because like I just want to take the money out. So she's just like devastated because it's this 20 pounds she's lost. And today's day, £20 isn't much, but like back then, and still today, and to some extent, to some people, it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. Aye.
So that's his earliest memory, and I think I find myself as quite a provider for my family, and I feel that all the time of needing to like, and what like the first time that I could provide, like I took my mum on a cruise and that, and I think it's all these memories of money being tight when I was younger and knowing that I need to help provide for my family, and like my mum always done that, but like struggled at times as well. So I think that's kind of what sticks in my mind from money.
It's a great example. I mean, these things do again and again come back to how you view things today. Do you think that influences any of the decisions that you made along the way to today in terms of your career, in terms of, I don't know, some level of security, job security, that kind of thing?
Yeah, definitely. I've always been, I don't think I could ever be without a job, and I would say that I'm a very hard-working person, and I kind of know that hard work always kind of comes back to you, and I think that seeing my mum always trying to work hard to support us, I think that it does always stick along the way of every career choice I make, thinking the next one I make could, make me more money to be able to give more support to my family. And I think it's definitely, I don't want to say it's being money greedy because it's not, but it's always in the back of my head of knowing that there is an importance there on it to be able to provide support for my family.
Yeah. Your experience in the restaurant, then, what have you've kind of touched on a wee bit, but what have you taken forward? Because I think from what I understand, you put a lot of value in team development, people development, talent retention. You've talked about your team a lot, and I could see you're almost getting emotional talking about the Michelin moment. It's obviously means so much. So what did you learn from your experience at Gleneagles under Andrew Fairley that you've taken forward into your new career? Yeah,
I'd definitely say that the main things are you can't do anything without your team. You try and do that on your own, you'll fail. You have to put trust and support and development into your team because they're the ones that are going to keep putting that forward for yourself. So you can be there to develop the food and the one that creates the dishes, but at the end of the day, they're the ones that are cooking it every day. They're the ones that are actually creating those items to put in a plate that's came from your imagination. So I think that Andrew Fairley's always taught, be humble, learn your craft, respect your products, respect the produce that comes into the door, and, don't do too much to it, and support your staff along the way and try and give them as many opportunities as you can, which is what I try and do today. And it's a kitchen, there's always times of frustration where you're like, whoa, and you shout or you lose your temper, but it doesn't happen much, and it's one of those ones that if that does happen, that isn't a moment, then you go to the person later on in the day and you say, look, here's what's going wrong. This is the way that you need to do it to resolve these problems. And you put in the effort to give them that back. And there's always sit-down chats or a phone call at the end of the night. You've had a bad night tonight. Do you want to talk about it? and all these support systems that I feel like I got from Andrew Fairley.
Right.
And it's about being humble, and I used to always think, when I used to work in the restaurant, first of all, why does everyone get treated differently? It's not fair. Everyone should be treated the same. And that's just not the case, because everybody learns differently. Everyone understands things differently. Everyone has different emotional needs, physical needs, whatever that may be.
Respond differently to different.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not one umbrella fits all. So I think that learning that as part of my management is a difficult thing. But like, I think knowing that now is that there are people there who prefer that tough love of, come on, you can do this, let's push. And there's someone that needs a little bit more cuddling. That's right. Okay, like, let me hold your hand and show you how to do this 3 times before you get it. And you have to put time and effort into your staff, because if you don't, then you're only going to get back what you put into them.
Yeah. Are you quite patient then?
I'm a very patient person. Yeah. I am a very patient person. Home life and work life, I am very patient. And it gets to a point where there does lead to some frustrations where you're just like, oh, why is this not going my way? But there's always a sense of, like yourself, like, it's one of those as well. Chef Andrew always said, do not approach things emotionally. Take your emotion out of it completely and deal with it as a matter of fact, and deal with it in that situation with what the tools that you have to deal with that situation. So I think really taking emotion out of it is a big thing, because I am quite an emotional person. I take a lot of love and pride in what I do, and when I feel people don't understand that, it upsets me and it frustrates me, because I'm like, why do you not care as much as me?
Yep.
But you do have to have that patience, because some people just don't understand it as much as you, or sometimes like the produce, you want people to respect it. Because I know, for example, like a scallop, a guy's putting his life at risk to hand dive that scallop, and then it's coming across the boat. We pay £3.50, maybe £4 per scallop. So when someone's tearing through that, you're like, whoa, please, love it a little bit. Because,
give it some care.
Yeah, exactly. So it's getting that across people, and they're just, all they're thinking of is, if I'm not set for service, then someone's not getting their food, and that's, the panic setting into them. So you've got to really have the patience to stand with them and go, no, understand where this product came from, understand the care that the person's taken to collect this for you, and then maybe you'll understand it to the full process of where it looks beautiful on the plate, the guest gets it, they love it, they enjoy it, think it tastes delicious, but you have to understand and care for each part of that. And I think you've got to have patience with people to let them help them understand that, because not everyone gets that at first. It's just a case of, it's busy and I need to be set for service. That's
really interesting, actually, because because that takes it from kind of process to passion, and no doubt that the result is better, because if you're just going, it's a scallop, I've got to do this, right, get it out, then it's probably not going to be as good as it would if you just took that wee bit of care. And that could apply to any line of work, to be honest, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely. You have to...
all that way through, what's the origin of this, right through to what's the impact on, I guess, the eventual customer.
Yeah, and that's it. I genuinely believe that if you care about it and you feel the expression on the plate, then that comes across to the guest. And, that's about teaching your front of house staff as well. Like, these are scallops, they come from Orkney, they're hand dove, they're, people put their, like, telling everyone the whole story, and then they tell that to the guest, and then again the guest then realises the benefits of why, not the benefits, they then realise why they're paying so much for this dish, because all these little things that come with it. And it is a whole story, and it comes from, not only using hand dive scallops, because if you use dredge scallops, they're ripping the seabeds up and they'll kill in the sea. So it comes from starting there right the way to the end, to that reaching the guest. And I know we're talking about patience here, but I've gone off on a tangent on how much respect and stuff you have to have for your product. And as I say, having the patience with your staff to help them understand that is something that you need to have.
I've got a couple of one of the things I was interested in was, obviously you're now a TV star. Mm-hmm. It's going well.
I hope so.
So you're now a judge on the Great British Menu.
Yeah.
So how does that differ from your day to day then?
I mean, it's very different. It differs in certain manners because you're tasting other people's food, I guess, and not your own food.
And judging it.
And judging it, yeah. So, to be honest, I'm my own worst critic. I judge everything I do, and it's never perfect, ever. See if I get something perfect, and the guys look at me and go, you actually like it. And it's like, that's, for me, that's something special. So I think it was, to be asked to come back as a judge for a start was one of those things that was like, I can't, like, again, that moment of, I can't believe I'm being asked to do this. It's that whole imposter syndrome of, I could, like, wow, like, incredible. And then going and sitting in a room with, you know, Tom Couch, obviously 2 Michelin-starred chef, and you've got Ed Gamble, who's been doing it for a long, very successful comedian, and I was really, really intimidated. And I've obviously done the show, I've won the competition, I'm a chef, I've won a star, I know what I'm talking about. You're still sitting there like, God, I can't believe, like, I
shouldn't be here.
Yeah, I should. Why am I in this room? And the production team, everyone there, they're so fantastic. And it's completely different. You go in the morning, I get my hair and makeup done, which is great. I get a stylist to choose my clothes for me. So I literally walk in my jogging bottoms, I can come out looking so glamorous. So that's really fun. And then tasting other people's food is really interesting because it's different styles, different techniques. You learn stuff, you taste mostly good stuff. There's some things that you think you shouldn't have done that. But, you know, most of the time it's good, and it really takes you away from your everyday life of cooking and really like just zoning into your work all the time. It takes you out to open your eyes to a lot more food and other things that are in the industry, because cooking programs are massive these days. Like, people watch them all over. So
absolutely,
it's good it's really great to be involved in something like that, and it's very different to my everyday.
We've talked a bit about how you kind of think about things and how you approach things. Is there a particular habit that you have either in business or in your personal life that you would recommend to people, from just in terms of how you manage your finances and risks, I guess? Because we've talked, I get the sense that you're kind of relatively not risk averse, but you certainly think about the downside first.
Yeah,
would that be fair?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I guess it's not always a good trait to have. You know, I think that risk taking can be good because it can be, you know, very beneficial. And I think there are things there. I think that for me, it's always a gut feeling of what the right thing is and what isn't. For me, but a habit that we just spoke about it. You know, I would always say to try and save that little bit of money, but always try and have that. Enjoy your life, I guess. As silly as that is, you know, talk about having, you know, savings aside and what, but you can't take it with you. So be sure, and if you do have some there, you know, spend it with your loved ones, you know, make those business decisions that are going to be successful for yourself, so that then you can have that time with your family and be able to cherish those moments or do special things with them, or be able to do activities or adventures that you wouldn't maybe normally be able to do. So for me, you know, it's always about family and the loved ones around you and creating habits for them. That's
brilliant. I think that's so. I think we can lose sight of that at times, and I know just from my day job, people do lose sight of that, and you have to remind them it's about, you know, experiences, memories, family, what's really important to you, not stuff and things. It's funny how little they actually impact people's lives in reality. Go, oh, look, that's shiny, and next day it's just like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it is nice, don't get me wrong, like I love cars, I like having a nice car and stuff like that, like that is it, but it's these little things like taking my son to an adventure park or whatever, and like seeing his face light up when there's an ice cream van or something like that. Like something like that. There's little things that you do, I think, that will stick with you a lot longer than the money will. So, you know, it's there to be spent. If you work hard and you earn some money there, then be sure not just stick it all and say, oh, I'll get it one day, I'll get it one day, because
there's a balance, isn't there?
Yeah, there's one day you're not going to be there, and who knows how long you've got. So, you know, yes, have the security there of having it because it's important, but make sure you spend some of it as well, because that's also important.
Brilliant. Thank you. And so, just to kind of wind up, then, what's next for you? What should we look out for?
I think continuously trying to get better. I would love to say we're going to get 2 stars. I mean, that's the goal. That's the dream.
Amazing.
And I don't necessarily know if I'm there as a chef or if it's where the building is. I don't know. Who knows how you get Michelin stars? But creating good food is one of them. And all I can say is that I'm continuously trying to get better. I look at food all the time. I look at new produce. I look at new projects to try and make ourselves better. And for me, mainly, it's about trying to be better as a leader, about being better for my team, and trying to let them know we're pushing for 2 stars, so that drives them. Because for me, having drive when I was younger, competing in competitions, having that ambition, that drive, that strive to always want to be the best at what I do. And, everyone can say whatever they like about Gordon Ramsay and all that sort of stuff. He was who I looked up to when I was younger, because he was super ambitious, and it was like, I'm going to be the youngest chef in the world to get 3 stars. I'm doing this. And although, he wasn't, he's still he's still...
sorry. You're all right.
He's still...
We're allowed some kitchen language in here.
Still very, very amazing at what he does. And that's, for me, that's what, pushes me. And
did you meet him when you worked there at Claridge's?
I did once, and it was... He's massive for a start. You don't realise how big he is. Okay. He's very big. But it was... So when I worked in Claridge's, the head chef there, the guy's name was Steve, and the head chef, like the executive chef time, was Mark Sargent. So he was one of Gordon Ramsay's, this kind of, all these top guys he had. So Mark Sargent was there. So Mark Sargent was never there, and Gordon was never there. But there's this one day where the head chef, Steve, received a phone call, and you heard someone go, and all of a sudden, Mark Sargent comes running in with his stripy socks, his probably his Ferrari sitting outside, who knows, came running in and was like, Gordon's coming, Gordon's on his way and all that. And you seen everybody drop tools and start cleaning this kitchen. The kitchen was immaculate as it was, but everyone was like, Gordon's coming, making sure and Gordon came in, hi guys, went around the whole kitchen, shook everyone's hand, speaking to everyone, and then back to the front, stood at the front. This guy, Scott, who was Scottish and had said, this is Lorna, she's from Scotland, she's spending some time with us. Hi there, how are you? Shook my hand, spoke to me for maybe all of 1 minute, and then, right, okay, see you later, guys, went out into the restaurant. And that was the whole, he was there for maybe 5-10 minutes max. But the place was in an uproar as soon as he came in. Everyone, let's, hands on deck. But, they were doing nothing, in my eyes, from what I can remember, nothing was wrong. But, I think it's just that terror of he's going to come in and do something to someone.
Scream at somebody.
But, I mean, his drive and ambition is definitely what I have built into me. Yeah. And for me to show all my younger team as well, this is, strive and push and have ambition. So for me to say to them, we're getting 2 stars in a couple of years' time, or we're going to push for 4 rosettes, and try and strive them to do that and be the best. That's what I want the next level to be of achievements.
That's amazing. Brilliant. Thank you. I've one last question, actually. And not that we're going to turn this show into a restaurant review show, as much as I might enjoy that. This is purely, this is very selfish of me, but I'm sure other people take something from it. What would be, I don't know, what 3 restaurants or 5 restaurants, what would you recommend people go to? Because it's always, people, we tend to gravitate to the same things, or you go to a new city, you've no idea where to go.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, there's a few different ones, I guess, and for different reasons. So, I would say the Bibendum by Claude Bossy, because of that foie gras creme brulee. If it's on the menu, please order it.
Get that ordered,
He's also got a chocolate souffle on that menu, which is to die for. Very, very good.
That's in London. Yeah.
That is in London, yeah. There is a guy called Paul Leonard, who has the Forest Side. I used to work with him at Andrew Fairley's. He's got a great restaurant, does a lot of, it's kind of in Cumbria, and it's a little hotel, and the rooms are beautiful, the place is beautiful, and the food that he does is really his own in his own style, and I think it's delicious, and I think he's a great guy, so I would definitely recommend going there. A little bit more casual, although it's still a 1 Michelin star, is Brat. It's also in London.
Right.
But it's kind of it's, you choose a grilled steak, you grill your steak and then you get some sides with it, or some, fresh langoustine starters. So that it's very, very casual, really, really lots of vibe, lots of hustle and bustle, but great food.
Right.
So I'd say in there. Ledbury. The Ledbury in London. It's just it's got 3 stars, but I went there before COVID, before lockdown, and had 2 stars, and it was incredible, very good. Myself and my wife have been to Northcote a few times. Lisa Allen's actually leaving there now, but we've been there a few times, and I think for me it's special because Dawn loves it, and it's somewhere that she loves to go. So I'd always for me, it's it is very good. It's maybe not on my top dining experience or anything like that, but for me it's very memorable towards the fact that me and Dawn have been a few times and she loves it and I really enjoy it as well. Like the food is very, very good. But the whole experience of staying there and stuff, and to see how happy it makes Dawn when she goes there, I mean, that for me is special.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And there is just one last rite of passage, I guess, is being on the Human First podcast, is we always ask our guests, move my microphone a bit closer, to leave a question for the next guest. So Mark Beaumont was the last guest, and we've kind of touched on this a wee bit more generally, but he posed the question, which is, what habit have you created in the last year that is useful and would be useful for others?
This might sound quite maybe common or something like that. I don't know how to express it, but take care of your health, I guess.
Right.
Like eating a bit more healthy. I had obviously my son a couple of years ago, and I found it hard to lose the baby weight, if I'm honest with you. I used to go to CrossFit a lot. I loved going to the gym, and I stopped doing that. So I think in the past year, I'll probably take more time and more thought into what I cook at home and what I put into my body. And that being that we probably used to be quite meat heavy at home, whereas now we have some vegetarian meals and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, my wife keeps saying to me to do that.
Yeah, exactly. I know a lot of people that do it, and by no means am I ever going to give up meat, but I mean the vegetable curry every now and then, or veggie fajitas or something like that. Like I think taking care of the environment, what you're eating, and your own body is probably quite an important one.
That's a really good one. Just one, actually, I've got a wee addition to that then. Given what you do and the hours that you work, how high do you place your health and wellness on that, and how do you make sure that you maintain it?
I would say it's pretty high up there. Yeah. We're on our feet all day, and we work long hours. So one, you see a lot of chefs who are busy and they don't eat. You need to fuel your body, because if you don't fuel your body, you will lose weight very fast. And sometimes in the kitchen you don't notice it because you're just working, you're tasting things, you don't realise that your body's hungry until you stop, and then on the way home they get McDonald's or something like that. Like that's not the right thing to do. Fuel your body with the right foods and stuff like that. And I believe that at work we try and make sure that we are creating healthy meal times for people, whereas we'll always have vegetables or a salad, and then we'll have whatever the main meal is, but we try and make sure that they're not just getting crap to eat, they're getting something that's nutritious. And I try and make sure and tell my chefs all the time, have you eaten? Please take 2 seconds to eat your dinner, because it's important. So I think it is high up there, and I want to get back to the gym, and I've got a lot of my chefs these days that go out running and stuff like that. So I think that a lot of people are taking health on board, especially in my kitchen. You see it a lot in kitchens, and I think that it's important.
Yeah, it's probably a healthy change over the years then in kitchens.
Definitely, it is, for sure.
That's brilliant. And so the very last thing is, what question would you like to leave for our next guest?
So the question that I would give to them would be, what top tip would you give a chef at home?
Oh, right, okay. Wow. That could be a tricky one.
Depends whether they cook or not.
Well, that's right, exactly. Okay, thank you very much. Listen, thank you, Lorna. That was brilliant. One of my favourite chats.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for sharing, and I'm sure people take a lot from it, and hopefully maybe come along and visit the restaurant.
Yeah.
They can find it on, Cail Bruich's got its own Instagram and all that.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Yes, can highly recommend it for special occasion or whatever.
Yeah. It's a great place. We'd like to hope that we make our guests feel welcome, and we'd love anybody to come and join us for a meal.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank
Cheers,
you.
Lorna.
Thanks.